I guess we can just jump in then. So we're going to start with the easiest concept of all. So when we play the piano, we assign each finger a specific number. And so you can, again, you'll be able to access all these slides, and most of you probably are already aware of this, but let's all just go ahead and go through this together. So in piano, thumb is always designated as finger one. So it's helpful, just I can't actually see your lovely faces at the moment, but if you want to go ahead and participate, put your
I can though.
Good, Ashley can, wonderful. So finger two is index. Third finger is your, you know what finger. Fourth finger is lazy man. Fifth finger is pinky, and these never change. So as we are learning music and as we're learning scales, finger numbers become especially important. And so, yeah, just log that away. Let's go through that one more time. So thumb is one, it kind of rhymes. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'd like us all to just go ahead and take a second to play on our imaginary piano or a real piano. We're just going to go ahead and tap finger number 1 3 times. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go ahead and tap finger number 2 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to tap finger 5, psych, haha, 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to go ahead and tap finger number 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go ahead and tap finger number 4, 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Easy, right? So let's go ahead and tap finger numbers 2 and 3 with both hands now. So you can isolate them or hold them out. We're going to go ahead and tap 2 and 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and tap finger numbers 2, 3, and 4 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go ahead and tap pinky and thumb back and forth. 5, 1, 5. Let's go ahead and try that again. 5, 1, 5. Now let's try 1, 5, 1. 1, 5, 1. All right, so we got thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Sweet. All right, so let's jump into note and rest values. Again, we are starting you from the very beginning, as acting as if, this is the very intro. So if this is review, bear with us. And if it's not, feel free to interject and ask questions. All right, so here are some basic note and rest values. Notes and rests, when combined, create something called rhythm when strung together with a steady beat. So almost all the music that we hear, except for free atonal music, is comprised of a specific set of note and rest values aligned in a steady beat. So if y'all would stand up with me, let's go ahead and stand up. And I cannot see you, so don't be self-conscious. You can all see me, so I'll go ahead and be self-conscious for all of you. All right, so basically I'm going to go ahead and walk a steady beat. So when we are creating music, we want to keep and create a steady beat. So we're going to go ahead and walk the quarter note pulse right here, and just go ahead and really feel that quarter note pulse as you step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now we are all walking the quarter note. Remember that whenever you have a rhythm, which is note values strung together with a steady beat, it needs to be steady. All right, let's go ahead and clap quarter notes now while we walk quarter notes. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Feel free to count out loud, even though I can't hear you. 1, 1, 1. Good. Now let's go back and forth saying 1 and quarter. 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 1 quarter. Awesome. Easy enough, right? So I'm going to keep talking to you, and I'd like you to keep clapping and keeping a steady beat, even though I start to change the rhythms. So let's go ahead and clap half notes now while you walk quarter notes. So we're going to go ahead and clap half notes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Half notes get 2 counts over time. 1, 2, half note. 1, 2, half note. 1. Good. Let's go back to quarter notes. Quarter, quarter. Awesome. So now we're going to go ahead and clap the dotted half note. So the dotted half note gets 3 counts anytime you see it. So that means we would hold it on the piano for 3 counts. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. And while I'm doing this, Ashley, could you go ahead and record this for us too?
We are recording. We are recording.
All right. So, we are recording. Awesome. Okay. So let's go ahead and clap whole notes now. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Back to the quarter note now. Quarter, 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 quarter. Awesome. Easy enough. So you can go ahead and let your hands rest, but keep that steady beat while you're walking, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take this down. You all probably got it. So now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to spotlight myself here. Keep walking. You didn't know this was a jazzercise class, did y'all? All right, so here we go. All right, we're walking. We're walking. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go back and forth. We're going to start with quarter notes. 1, 1, 1, and just listen for me and listen for the change. Ready? Half notes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Dotted half notes. Go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whole notes. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Quarter notes. Go. 1, 1, 1, 1. Good. All right. Still pretty easy, right? So let's go ahead and walk the half note while we clap the quarter note. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Walk the quarter note. Walk the quarter note. Clap the quarter note. Awesome. Let's go ahead and review one more time. Quarter notes, 1 beat. Half notes, 2 beats. Dotted half notes, 3 beats. Whole notes, 4 beats. Boom. All right, good job. So then we also want to just go ahead and take a quick look. You can have a break here. So now we're going to take a look at the quarter rest, the half rest, and the whole rest. So just as note values tell you to play a note for a designated amount of time, a rest tells you to rest for a designated amount of time. So that would look like, I'll continue the exercise. You guys can like grab a drink, do what you need to do. So quarter rests will be 1 rest, 1 rest. The time still moves, but the rest indicates a specific amount of silence, right? So if you see a quarter rest, it means to rest for 1 count. If you see a half rest, it means to rest for 2 counts. Play for 2 counts, 1, 2, rest for 2 counts. Play for 2 counts, rest for 2 counts. Play for 2 counts, rest for 2 counts. Time still moves through, but you just happen to have a moment of silence, or 2, or 4, depending on what kind of rest it is. And a fun little trick when you're like, oh, these rests look exactly the same. The half rest kind of looks like a hat, so you can call it a hat rest, because it's like a little top hat. And then the other one kind of looks like taking off your hat or something. You could also
a hole in the ground.
A hole in the ground, yeah, exactly. A manhole, if you will. So, or you're only half a man if you don't take off your hat when you come inside, and you're a whole man if you do, which is clearly an outdated and probably unacceptable thing for me to say at this point. But it is helpful when remembering half and whole rests. Okay, so let's go ahead. And we already did this. We practiced clapping these note values and remembered to keep a steady beat. So something I'd like for you all to keep in mind as you are learning a piece and as you're learning rhythm, get up and move. Rhythm is movement, right? Music is movement. So it's really important to get up, feel the rhythm, feel it in your body, and make sure that you're able to keep a steady beat when you do it. So I'm going to hand it over to Ashley, and she's going to talk to us about the names on the piano.
Sure. Thank you for that aerobic exercise to start the class. So we're going to talk about the geography of the keyboard now. And if you're at your piano or your keyboard, you can play along and actually, be looking at your piano or your keyboard. If not, go ahead and look at your screen, and you can even, touch your screen or try to really internalize these exercises as we do them. And then everything that we're doing in class, you can also do in your own practice. So these exercises, especially that we're going to do with the geography of the keyboard, you can do on your own and test yourself on and have some fun getting to know the piano. So for starters, we're just going to look at the different groups of keys. So we've got on our piano or keyboard, we've got groups of black keys, and they come in 2s and 3s. So I'm just going to do a little circle here. You can see this is a group of 2 black keys, and this is a group of 2 black keys right here, and they alternate. Here's a group of 2 black keys right here. And they alternate with the group of 3. So here's a group of 3, and here's a group of 3. Now, these are just visually helpful to recognize and to notice because they're going to help us, they're like landmarks, and they'll help us find different keys. When we are talking about naming the keys on the piano, we use the musical alphabet. And the musical alphabet is the first 7 letters of the English alphabet. So if you know the English alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we stop there, and we repeat. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, we stop there, and we repeat. And if you're working with a full-size piano or a full-size keyboard, your bottom note is going to be A. And so you can start at the very bottom, and you can play A, B, C, and we're talking about all the white keys right here. You can play A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 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 and I can do this going all the way up my piano. And if you're on a full-size piano, you'll end with a C. That will be your very last key. Now, if you're not on a full-size piano, your bottom note might be something other than A, and so you can use this next exercise to help you figure out what it is. So one of the notes that is a great landmark note to start with is C. And it's easy to find because if we look for a group of 2 black keys and we go directly to the left or to the bottom, that is C. And C is always this white key that's right below the group of 2 black keys. So let's find our C's. So if you can look to your piano or do this on the screen, go ahead and look for those groups of 2 black keys and find the white key directly below it, and we're going to play all of the C's. A fun way to practice that on your own is to see how fast you can do it. It might be slow at first, but after you do it a couple times, you'll get pretty good at it. Now, you might have noticed also as I'm playing that these sounds down here are very different than these sounds up here. When we're talking about the piano, when we move to the left, we're going lower. The pitches are getting lower. When we go to the right, the pitches are getting higher. And when we talk about playing the piano, we will say higher or going up. We will say lower or going down. When all else fails, you can say right or left. Okay. D is right in the middle of 2 black keys. So now that we've found C, let's go ahead and find all of the D's. So just take a second on your piano to do that. And hopefully you're noticing that all of the D's look the same and they're kind of an equal distance apart from each other, no matter where you go on the keyboard. Okay, E is right on the top of 2 black keys, so let's find all of the E's. You can do them out of order if you want. Okay, and then let's mix it up a little bit. We're not going to go in order. So now we're going to look at the top note of the 3 black keys. So find the group of 3 black keys and look for the very top one. That is B. So let's find all of the B's. They're at the top of the group of 3. There's a sneaky B at the very bottom on a full-size piano. The piano cuts off. So there's a group of 2 at the bottom and then a group of 1. That group of 1 is the very top one of a group of 3. We just don't have the rest of them. So there's one sneaky B as the second note on your piano. Okay, let's go lower. So to the left of B is A. Another way to think of it is that A is in between the top 2 of the group of 3 black keys. So let's find all the A's. All right, and then let's do the G's, which are right in between the bottom 2 of the group of 3. And I'm going to let you find all the G's on your own piano. Okay, and last one, let's do the F's. So the F's are at the bottom of the group of 3 black keys. So take a second and find all of the F's. Okay, So, the geography of the keyboard is very important, and it's something that logically makes sense. If we know the English alphabet, we think, oh, okay, you know, the notes on the piano, that's easy enough. But it's something that's really important to practice. This is kind of the first important thing to know when you're learning how to play the piano is the geography of the keys. Because if you're constantly referring back to this chart or having to look up where the notes are on the piano, it's a pretty big hurdle before you can get ready to play a piece. So we quickly went over it in class today, but that won't be enough most likely for most of you to remember it long term. A great way to practice this is to just write A, B, C, D, E, F, G on a piece of paper and close your eyes and point to one. And then make yourself find all of those on the piano. And then close your eyes and point to another one. And do that. It doesn't have to be a ton. If you probably did that 5 minutes a day for this first week, you'll come to class next week really knowing these notes on the piano, and that's super important. Okay? Any questions about the geography of the keys or of the keyboard? Okay. All right. Okay, great. In that case, we're going to go ahead and go on, and we're going to talk about our first piece. And I just realized I can't actually see anybody. So, Stephanie, did anybody raise their hand?
Not that I saw, but please unmute yourself if you had any questions.
Yes.
I also did want to, I had a quick exercise to piggyback off of what you said, if that's okay.
Sure.
So something that you can do, and we don't necessarily need to do it right now in class, but to reinforce both the geography of the keyboard, like Ashley was talking about, and the finger numbers, is to ask yourself, okay, with finger number 2 of the right hand, I need to find all of the C's on the piano from the high to the low register. So I'm going to throw a few of those your way just so you can check your own understanding. How easy is this actually for you to call out a finger number and then find a note on the piano? And since we're not all here together, you can assess for yourself and ask for help if you need it. But here goes. So with finger number 2 of the right hand, can you find all of the F's on the piano from the low register to the high register? All right. Now with finger number 5 of the right hand, can you find all of the D's on the piano from the high register to the low register? I'll give you one more. With finger number 3 of the left hand, find all of the F's on the piano from the low register to the high register. All right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how easy was that for all of you? You don't have to, you can unmute and share because obviously I want to hear your feedback, but you can also just self-assess too. And if it was a little bit tricky, like join the club, welcome to everybody else's life. And if it was easy for you, congrats, you're a savant. But basically the idea is that you're able to find your finger numbers and find the notes at a relatively quick pace. So it's a great way to incorporate both instilling your finger numbers, but also the notes on the keyboard. Back to you, Ashley.
Great exercise. I love it. That combines all 3 of the things that we've done so far. So I would highly recommend to practice that way. Okay, so next we are going to learn our first piece of music. Woohoo! This is exciting. So this is called Summer Night, and this is a great piece to now apply all of the things that we've been talking about. You'll notice all of these symbols on the page, so we're going to really break it down here. And see that we have some notes written here. We also have some other symbols and a lot of different letters and things like that. But basically this piece is called Summer Night. It was written by Keenan D. Renfro. This is the composer. And we have this picture up here on the right. And since it is not me sharing my screen, can you actually see me moving my mouse like this? I'm not sure. Okay, no. So that's not helpful. I will annotate on the screen for you so that you know what I'm talking about. So we have this, there we go. We've got that little chart right there. And that is a picture of a piano, and it's showing you where to put your hand. So RH means right hand. That's an abbreviation for our right hand. And there's a finger number 2. And you'll notice that the 2 is on the white key that's above the group of 2 black keys, which is E. So I'm just going to write a little E here. So we're going to put our right hand second finger on E. Now, if we do that, we don't just want this one finger here. We also want our other fingers to be on notes. So if we put our second finger on E, that means our thumb will be on the one right below that, which is D. And then our third finger would be on the one right above that, which is F, and then G, and then A. So our thumb is on D, second finger is on E, third finger is on F, fourth finger is on G, and pinky is on A. Okay, and that's going to be our hand position for this piece of music. Now, before we jump in and actually play, a couple of notes about when we play the piano. We want to make sure that we're sitting nice and tall. And usually when I tell people to sit nice and tall, sometimes this happens and our shoulders go right up to our ears because we start thinking about our posture. So just check in with yourself and make sure you're sitting up tall, but you're comfortable and you're relaxed and you haven't, brought your shoulders up to your ears. Ideally, our piano bench or our chair or whatever we're sitting on is at a height where we can, I'm not sure if you can see me in my camera angle. Yes, ideally we're at a height where our elbow makes a 90-degree angle. So we're kind of looking for a capital letter L here. Now, if my arm looked like this, that means I'm just probably sitting a little too high. And if my arms are like this, looking more like a V, I'm probably a little bit too low. And positioning is important because it really will affect the quality of the musical sound that you make, depending on how you're using your body. And we'll get into that much more later in class. So we want to sit up nice and tall. We want this L shape. Now, when we place our hand on the keys to begin playing, we want to be using a nice rounded hand shape. So we want to think about playing on our fingertips, and you're almost playing on your fingernail. If you look at the keys on the piano, they're in a straight line. And if we hold our fingers out like this, the tips of our fingers are curved. So it doesn't seem like they're going to do a very good job of playing all the keys in a straight line. So we want to round those fingers. And when I round those fingers, what happens is that now all of my fingertips make a horizontal line, which is what the piano looks like. So you can think about it as holding a bubble or holding a ball of some kind, but we basically want to play on our fingertips. The other last thing before we get started is that we want to keep our fingers glued to the keys. So it's really common when we play one note for all of our fingers to pop up, or for some of our fingers to pop up. And we'll work on this a lot and we'll remind you a lot. But we want to try to pretend like there's glue on each of your individual fingertips and your fingertips are glued on the keys. So when I play one of my fingers, the other fingers are relaxing on those keys. They're not popping up. Okay? So we've found our hand position. We've talked about the position of our body and our arms and our fingers. Now let's look a little bit more at the symbols in the music. So we read music from left to right, just like we would read a book. So we start here, yep, thank you, and read to the right, just like that. Now in music, we have a couple of symbols. We have bar lines. And the bar lines are the vertical lines that are separating the groups of notes. Bar lines divide our music into what is called measures. So the actual lines are called bar lines. Everything between the bar lines, that's called a measure. And measures are really helpful, one, for rhythm, because you can see that the notes are grouped. And if you count all the beats in these groupings, each measure has 4 beats. And that's generally the case. Our measures will have an equal number of beats. And then the other thing is that it makes it visually a little bit easier to read because we have notes in chunks. We have notes in groups, and so that's nice. Then we have our measure numbers. So over here in the beginning would be measure number 1, and then after the first bar line is measure number 2. After the next bar line is measure number 3, and you can count through and we can number all of the measures. And that's important to know, especially when we're learning online. When I'm in person teaching, I do a lot of pointing to music. But as we're all here on our computer screens or our phone screens, we need to be able to talk about where we are in the music. So you'll frequently hear us say measure 1, measure 4, measure 2, and you'll know to count the space between the bar lines. All right, we've got quarter notes. These notes that have that are filled in, these are all quarter notes. We also have a half note in measure 2, and a half note in measure 4, and a half note in measure 6, and those notes get 2 beats. And then we have a couple of whole notes. We have a whole note in measure 8. And if you can remember to our aerobic exercise, that gets 4. And then another whole note at the very end in the last measure, and that also gets 4. So we're going to go through this and we're just going to clap the rhythm. So we're not even going to pay attention to the notes yet. We're just going to look at the rhythm, and we're going to count to 4 because each measure has 4 beats. So we know that in all of these measures there's going to be 4 beats, and that's nice because that's predictable. And we're going to line the notes up with those beats. So in measure number 1, we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, and each quarter note gets 1 beat, and there's 4 of them. So that lines up. That's nice. In measure number 2, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and this half note here gets 2 beats, which is why it's getting 3 and 4. Then we'll go on with our quarter notes, which we already did in the first measure. Now notice that this measure right here is the same as this measure rhythmically. So same thing, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we repeat both of those patterns, the 4 quarter notes or the 2 quarter notes and the half note throughout this piece. When we get to the measure with a whole note, we will just play 1 note and we'll hold it for 4 counts. All right, so we're gonna clap and count. I just drew a big ugly line right here, but we're gonna clap and count until here. And let's just see if you can stay with me and if you can clap the notes. So our clapping is the same as us playing on the piano, and we're just gonna clap and count the rhythm. I can't hear you counting, but I'm gonna assume that you're all being awesome students and counting out loud with me. All right, I'll count us a measure and then we'll start, okay? So 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Okay, that was great. Now, rhythm clapping is such a useful tool. I do this all the time before I even try to play notes on the piano, because the more internalized the rhythm is, the easier that aspect of playing this piece will be when we add the notes and the finger numbers and all of that in. So I would recommend doing that a few more times in your own practice. A couple other symbols, and then we're going to actually play it. So we've got this little bracket with a 1 and this little bracket with a 2. And we also have these patterns of lines here. Now this over here, I'm going to do an arrow. This one at the very end, this is called a double bar line. You can see that there's a thin line and a thick line. The double bar line tells you that we are at the end. You made it. You made it to the end. And so that is when the music stops. This looks very much like a double bar line, but it has these 2 little dots. This is called a repeat sign. And a repeat sign means that we go back and we do it again. So the way that this piece works is slightly complicated for a first piece of music that we're going to play. This little bracket with the number 1 is our first ending. So what we do is we start at the beginning. We read through like this, like we're reading a book, left to right. We come down to the second line. This is the first time playing it, so we go to this first ending. Now, because of the repeat signs, I go back to the beginning. And now I'm going to play it again. So I read through left to right, just like I did before. I come down to the second line. But now I'm on my second time of playing it. So I'm not going to play this first ending again because I already did that. I'm going to skip, and I'm going to play the second ending where the little number 2 is. Okay?
Question.
Yes.
Sorry, some of the music reading's coming back to me. When you get a repeat, isn't there sometimes a sign that you repeat back to in the music?
Yes. So occasionally you would see something like this where there'd be like another double bar line with another repeat sign here. If that were there, this repeat sign here would mean we only go back to here. However, when you only see one repeat sign by itself, it means you go back to the very beginning. So this one will go back to the very beginning, and then we skip our first ending on the second time we're playing it, and we go to the second ending. All right, so we're gonna try this. If you have your piano or your keyboard, go ahead and try to go along with me. If not, that's okay. You're gonna have this recording, and you'll have the recording of what this sounds like. And so in your own practice, you can go back and you can pull up this piece of music, and you can listen to it a few times, and you can even rewatch this lecture, and you can try to play it in your own practice. But I'll play through it, and I'm gonna say the counts out loud as well, and that's gonna be really helpful. So let me show you my hands. I'm gonna put my right hand, second finger on E, which means my thumb is on D, third finger is on F, fourth finger is on G, and pinky is on A. Now, I'm gonna sit up nice and tall, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna take a couple of deep breaths, and I'm gonna begin. So 1, 2, 3, go. E, F, G, A, G, F, E, 2. D, E, F, G, F, E, D, 2. E, F, G, A, G, F, E, 2. D, E, F, E, D, 2, 3. Repeat from the beginning. E, F, G, A, G, F, E, 2. D, E, F, G, F, E, D, 2. E, F, G, A, G, F, E, second ending. G, F, E, D, E, 2, 3, 4. All right, so if you're following along and you played any of those notes, yay, congratulations. Also, I realized I said I was going to count the beats out loud and then I said the notes out loud. That was confusing, I apologize. But that is another way to practice. So what you heard me doing there is going really slow, and you can even go slower in your own practice. And I was saying the notes out loud as I was playing. And I highly recommend practicing saying the notes out loud and then practicing saying the counts or the rhythm out loud, because both are going to help you internalize. When we just play and we're just listening to the sounds and we're following along on the page, it can be really easy to accidentally tune out or to let our mind wander a little bit. And when we're saying the notes out loud and we're saying the counts out loud, it really helps to connect our brain to what our fingers are doing, and it helps us to stay in the present moment and really be in the music right there on the page and with the sound. So saying the notes out loud how I just did, that's a great way to practice. Saying the beats out loud is also a great way to practice. And I'm just going to demonstrate this for you one more time. I'm going to go faster now, but I'm going to say the beats so you can hear what that sounds like in case you need to rewatch this, and so you get a feel for what that's like. If you'd like to try to play along with me, please go right ahead. Okay, so a little bit faster. This will be closer to what it sounds like maybe once you've spent several days and several practice sessions practicing it. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Second ending. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So there it is with the rhythm counted. Now there's a couple of symbols in this piece that we're gonna pretend like they don't exist for a minute, because we're gonna talk about them in just a few minutes, and then you'll know what they mean. It's these little letters underneath. These are dynamics. We're gonna talk about those in just a minute. But before we go on, does anybody have questions about Summer Night, hand position, note values, any of the stuff that we've covered that we just did in this piece of music?
Does it matter which E you start with?
Great question. So when we are looking at the piano, there's a middle of the piano, and you can kind of tell where the middle is by a couple of different ways. One, if you just kind of guesstimate based on how big your piano is. Two, if you're on a real piano and you have a brand name written here, you will sit at the middle of the piano, and the C that is closest to the middle of your piano is called middle C. Now, middle C is a great landmark because it just helps us know everything kind of builds out from middle C. And so you'll notice, and I'm going to show it by writing on it because it's really small, but you'll notice on this picture that it actually says middle right here on this C. And so technically this E is the one that's right above that middle C. So that's a really great question. So you'll want to try to find middle C on your piano or your keyboard, which will be right towards the center. And then you'll play on the E that's a couple of notes above that C. Any other questions? Okay, great. So as we continue on, keep in mind that I don't expect that you fully internalized and processed this yet. This is going to take a little bit of practice. So we're going to continue on and we're going to learn some more musical concepts. But practicing in the order that we do things is a great way to do it. So if later tonight or tomorrow you go to pull out all of these notes and you're going to do some practicing, start way back with the note values and then do the geography of the keyboard and then do summer night, and then you can start getting into all the rest of the stuff that we're covering. Okay? Alrighty, so we've got the grand staff here up on the screen, and the grand staff is what we read piano music off of. The grand staff is made up of a couple of different parts, and we're going to talk about them so that you know the geography of it. So first of all, we've got this symbol right here. It's called the treble clef. And the treble clef is all of the notes above middle C. So another reason that middle C is important to know, because treble clef is really mostly the notes on the higher side of the piano, the right-hand side. This symbol here is the bass clef, and it's the notes that are lower than middle C, or the notes that are on the left side of the piano. Our right hand, because our right hand is on the right side of our body, and that's where the treble clef is, our right hand will most often play in the treble clef, whereas our left hand will most often play down here in the bass clef. When we put them together like this, we join them with a bar line over here on the left. I'm going to draw a little arrow. And this is called a brace. That's not super important to know, but all of this together combined makes the grand staff. Now you'll also notice that we've got lines and spaces. Those are very important. We have 5 lines. If you count, we count from bottom to the top. So 5 lines in the treble clef staff, and 5 lines, the bottom one is kind of cut off by the bottom of the slide on my screen. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 lines in each staff, and then we have the space in between the lines, and we called those the spaces. And in the treble clef, there are 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the bass clef, there are also 4 spaces. Now, the notes can be written on lines or spaces. And we're going to get to another slide in just a minute that'll show you a lot of them. But woo! Man, drawing with a mouse is hard. But you can see we've got a note on a line. There we go. And the line goes directly through the center of the note. Or we can have a note on a space. And you'll notice that it's kind of sandwiched in between the 2 lines. And so the grand staff is where we will read music. Alrighty. Want to take it away, Steph?
All right. So we got notes on the grand staff. We're going to jump into some note reading here, but if you all want to stand up with me for just a second, we're going to do a quick stretch. I know it's a lot of material to cover in one class, so just know you can always come back and review all of the information. There will be a recording available as well. So go ahead and just do some arm circles with me, some back strokes, opening up that upper arm structure. And then go ahead and do forward motion. So it actually is about 10 to 15 minutes that the human brain can really focus clearly. So when you're practicing at home, just be aware of getting up and moving and getting that blood flowing. It's good to do that anyway these days. So let's go ahead and do some big balls of energy. So we're going to go ahead and just swoop the energy up and then push it out, and then just a couple more like that. Big ball out and then back down, and then scoop one more up and out. Now this one, go ahead and inhale as you scoop up and exhale as you scoop down. All right, good. Let's go ahead and bring it down. Do a little bit of a ragdoll here. So go ahead and gently bring your feet to the floor and let your head hang. You're just gonna go ahead and hang nice and low. You probably lost me here, but that's okay because everybody knows how to do a ragdoll. So, all right, just let your neck be nice and loose and your head hang heavy. Being really aware of your breathing. Go ahead and slowly stack one vertebrae on top of the other until you're standing again. Okay, go ahead and have a seat. So you're gonna have a lot of fun practicing Summer Night. It's a piece that packs a lot of information into one. So it was fun to watch Ashley teach that, and I'm excited to hear some of you play it next week too. All right, so the notes on the grand staff. This takes some time, but it's just a matter of memorizing patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and talk you through this. So here we have the treble clef. Treble clef has high sounds. So everything from middle C up is in the treble clef. And everything basically middle C and below is in the bass clef. So like Ashley said, the bass clef is responsible for being played with the left hand. And the treble clef is generally responsible for being played with the right hand. So we are going to talk about some landmark notes here. So I call them landmark notes because they're really easy to identify on the staff, and they're also really easy to find on the piano. So here are the 3 landmark notes: middle C, treble G, and bass clef F. So middle C is easy to identify because it's in the middle, right, of the treble and the bass clef, and it has a line straight through it. So with my kids, I call it middle C cat because it has whiskers coming out of it. So if you're a visual or like cats, maybe that'll work for you. All right, so middle C is right in the middle of the piano, right where the 2 black keys are, and right underneath we have middle C, right? So this is middle C. Anytime you see this symbol right here, that means to play middle C. It can't be any other C on the piano, though there are many, but it must be middle C. So that already gives us a lot of information, right? Because if all the notes above middle C on the staff go in this direction, that means all the notes middle C and above on the piano must go up. And so on and so forth. So middle C already gives us a lot of information. Here we have treble G, and I like this one because it actually is nicknamed after the G clef. Treble G is nicknamed after the treble clef, which used to be called the G clef, and it's because it somewhat resembles a fancy G. And there are a few other types of clefs, and clefs basically help orient you, right? So this little swirl orients you around the G, orients you around the G line. So this note right here is treble G. Treble G can be found because, hey, it's being intersected by the line that is also being intersected by the little swoop in the treble G here. So the clef actually helps us identify one of the more important notes. So let's go ahead and find treble G. If middle C is smack dab in the middle of the keyboard right here, then treble G is, and by the way, if you can't see the keyboard for any reason, please unmute yourself and let me know. So we have middle C right here, and then treble G is going to be directly above. So can we all please identify middle C with the left hand, just for fun? And then let's go ahead and find treble G with the right hand. So remember, this note on the staff designates a very specific G on the piano. It can't be any other G on the piano. It must be the G directly above middle C. So again, this helps us orient ourselves, because if any of the notes on the staff are above treble G on the staff, that means that they're above treble G on the piano as well. So that eliminates a lot of options. The last landmark note is bass clef F. And bass clef F, similar to treble G, is oriented around the clef that it's named after. This is the bass clef, also known as the F clef or the frowny face clef, because if you tilt your head to the side, it looks like a sad face. Wah, wah. All right, so here we have the frowny face, F clef, and whoa, here we go. F. All right, so here we have bass clef F, which is intersected by the line. So a lot of the time I'll help, this is something that helps younger kids, but, for any of you moms or whatever, if you just is helpful to you, you can think about these symbols as representing, frowny face, F, clef, and also it's just helpful. These clefs were literally designed to help you identify notes on the staff more easily. So the two dots help direct you to bass clef F. Bass clef F is the note that is directly below middle C, right here. So if we can all orient ourselves, find middle C, and then you're going to go ahead and shift down to bass clef F. Bass clef F is the note directly below middle C. So let's go ahead and find the three landmark notes. I'm going to call them out and play them, and you can just go ahead and do the same. Any finger numbers of your choice. So let's go ahead and start with bass clef F. We're going to hold it for 4 counts. We're going to hold it for a whole note each. Bass clef F, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now middle C for a whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. And treble G for a whole note. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's go ahead and do that again. And this time we're going to hold each landmark note for a half note. We're going to hold each landmark note for 2 counts. Ready? Bass clef F, ready, go. 1, 2, middle C, 1, 2, and treble G. 1, 2. Now we'll play each landmark note as a quarter note. Bass clef F, middle C, treble G. So these are the 3 landmark notes. And like I said, they're pretty easy to find on the piano, and they're pretty easy to find on the staff, right? All right, so any questions so far with this before I jump into these other notes? Okay, well, if not, I'm going to ask a few of you to demonstrate some landmark notes. And if you don't know, that's fine. You can always say pass. Okay, so let's see here. Ashley, can you demonstrate the 3 landmark, Ashley, not the instructor, Ashley.
Darn it, I really know them though.
Ashley, can you go ahead and demonstrate the 3 landmark notes and name them and play them?
Hello. All right, so I have F, C, G.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, how about Melissa Miracle? Can you go ahead and show us the 3 landmark notes?
Okay, F, C, and G.
Beautiful, good work. You guys are good. All right, how about Anya? Can you show us the 3 landmark notes?
Yes. All right. So F, C, and G.
All right. Clearly, you guys understand this information. So good job. All right. If you don't for any reason, please don't hesitate to ask. All right. So we have our 3 landmark notes, which orient us very beautifully on the piano and on the staff. So like the notes on the piano that go A, B, C, D, E, F, G on repeat, the staff also follows the same exact pattern. So here we have middle C, and the next note up will be D. The next note up will be E, and then F, and then G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth. The notes do continue, but we don't need to worry about that right now. So let's go ahead and orient ourselves. Don't worry about reading the notes. Just go ahead and follow along with me. Everybody find middle C. We're going to go ahead and name the notes up until we hit 2 G's above middle C. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. C, D, E, F, G. Hold it for 4 counts. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They threw us for 1 here because we have a whole note here, right? So it kind of helps orient us a little bit and give us a breather. Let's try it one more time. And let's do it with the right hand because the right hand is usually played with the treble clef. All right, here we go. Naming the notes and playing them. Hold it for 4 counts when you get to the whole note on the G here. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. C, D, E, F, G, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Awesome. All right. So in opposite manner, when we are reading the music down the staff, we are going backwards in the musical alphabet. All right. So everybody find middle C with your left hand. And we'll go ahead and go backwards now. So when we get to F, we're going to hold it for 4 counts and then continue on down. We'll do this a few times, so you feel free to just watch the first time if that's helpful. So here's C. Here we go. C, B, A, G, F for 4 counts, and then E, D, C, B, A, G, F, etc. All right, let's go ahead and try it one more time. And this one is, this example might be a little bit confusing just because it's going up instead of down, but I want to demonstrate that these notes right here are mirroring the opposite direction of the staff this direction here. So we have B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, etc. And it's going in the reverse of the musical alphabet. So as we were going up the musical alphabet this way, we're going backwards on the musical alphabet the other direction. So let's try that one more time. And you don't need to follow along on the staff. You can just go ahead and watch me here. So we'll go on middle C with the left hand. C, B, A, G, F for 4 counts. And then E, D, C, B, A, G, F. So I wanted to have you guys do that a few times. Yes?
So just to make sure I understand, so because you play the music left to right, correct? But you were just playing it right to left?
Well, so I can understand what?
For the bass clef, because you had to start at middle C and then went down from there.
Yeah, totally. I understand your question. Then I think it's just, so the answer is the music is always read from left to right. So that is correct. The music is always read from left to right. The reason that I was going in the other direction was because on when you're going on the staff, when you're reading on the staff, the notes go in reverse of the musical alphabet. So this, I think that if I found a different visual, maybe I could explain it a little bit better. But just the short answer would be you read music from left to right. Mm-hmm. And as you go backwards on the staff, or go down on the staff, you're going backwards in the musical alphabet. So if that doesn't totally make sense right now, that's totally fine. Yeah, thank you. So basically, when you are reading music, you're going from, you're going down from C and then to B, A, G, F, E, D, C. And this visual is basically trying to mirror the direction of this note. So Ashley, can you draw those one more time? Okay, so B would be on this note, and then A would be the line note, and then G is the space note, and then F would be the line note, and then E is the space note, and then D is the line note. So that continues in that manner. And the reason I was going backwards was because the musical alphabet is reversed when you're going down on the piano. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and so that is why I demonstrate it. So you're correct. Music is always read from left to right, always. And the only reason I was doing it the other way is because when you move down on the staff, you're moving down on the piano. So you have to go backwards in the musical alphabet instead of forwards. So, yeah. Does that clear that up for you?
Yeah, it's just the visual because essentially we were playing it backwards if I'm looking at the music, so that's what tripped me up.
Yeah, no, and thank you for that feedback. That'll be really helpful for us then the next time we teach this too. So thank you. All right, but for sure, and continue to ask questions if it doesn't make sense. Okay, so here are some things you can use to help yourself keep track of the staff. And let's see here. All right, so there's a little saying you can use for the lines of the treble clef. And that little saying is, every good boy deserves fudge, or elephants go bouncing down freeways. There's all kinds of different tools you can use to memorize the lines and spaces, but sometimes having acronyms like that can be really helpful. So let's go ahead and take the E above middle C, and we're going to go ahead and play the lines of the treble clef from treble E up. So we're going to go E, G, B, D, F. And we'll do that again. So we'll go ahead and take the right hand and go E, G, B, D, F, which again is the lines of the treble clef. So let's try it again. E, G, B, D, F. All right, now let's go ahead and add middle C and then play the lines of the treble clef. Ready, go. C, E, G, B, D, F. All right, so there we have the lines of the treble clef. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the spaces of the treble clef. The spaces of the treble clef spell face, F-A-C-E. So we have F above middle C, A, C, and E. So we're going to go ahead and find that F above middle C right here and play F, A, C, E. And we'll do it again. F, A, C, E. Again, this is the spaces of the treble clef. Let's do it one more time. F, A, C, E. So the spaces of the treble clef spell the word face. So,
excuse me,
yes.
We actually can't see your camera.
Oh, okay. Well, that is good to know. I'll go ahead and spotlight myself. Thank you so much for that.
I can see your camera. I can see your camera, so I wonder if it has to do with the gallery view or like the view the person has.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Okay, great. Well, how about this? Can you see my hand now?
Yes, I can. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, so would you like me to review that again?
I'm good. Was just making sure that everybody else could see it because I was still on Melissa from when she did her thing. So.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, well, wonderful. All right, so there we have E, G, B, D, F for the lines, and then the spaces are F, A, C, E. Okay, cool. So again, in the Google Drive, there's going to be all kinds of cards that will help you go through the notes and identify what they are. So this will not be the first time that we go over all of this. All right, let's go ahead and I'll show you the little acronym for the lines of the bass clef now. So we have G, B, D, F, and A. So the lines of the bass clef are G, B, D, F, A, and the acronym that I like to use is Great Big Dogs Fight Animals. So that can be helpful, or if you have a better one, please chime in. But sometimes, yeah.
I'm always offering points for extra credit for people that can come up with the best acronyms.
Yes.
The most creative acronyms.
Yes, exactly. So if you come up with anything, please let us know. So the lines of the bass clef are going to be G, B, D, F, A. So let me know if you cannot see my hand. You're going to go ahead and go 2 G's below middle C right here, and you're going to play G, B, D, F, A. So again, here's middle C. We're going to go 2 G's down and play G, B, D, F, A. And then we'll do it again. G, B, through and play the lines and the spaces of the grand staff. And then we'll go through the spaces here as well. And then we'll get to reading music in real time. All right, so the spaces of the bass clef are A, C, E, G, and that is going to, the saying I like to use are all cows eat grass, or all cows eat, all cows eat grass is a good one, or all cars eat gas. So we're going to go ahead and find the A, 2 A's below middle C, and play A, C, E, G. So again, you're going to find the lowest space note on the staff and play A, C, E, G. All right, so those are the spaces of the bass clef. And this visual, it gives you everything all in one, which is great. But I also wanted to break it down for you to show you, okay, well, you can memorize the lines of the bass clef first. You can memorize the spaces of the treble clef first, and same thing with the bass clef as well.
I'm going to just chime in on one thing that another way that is really helpful for some people is if you think about the fact that Stephanie was explaining the landmark notes. And the landmark notes are so helpful because in the very beginning stages, if you don't remember anything other than maybe middle C, you can always use middle C to find the other notes. So if I ask you, what is this note up here, and you don't have these note names written in, when I go on the staff from line to space to line to space to line to space, I'm stepping. And stepping on the piano is going from one key to the very next key. And so I can say, okay, I don't know what any of these notes are, but I know this one is C. And so then I know the next space would be D, the next line would be E, the next space would be F, and I can count up in that musical alphabet until I figure out what that next note is. And so just keeping in mind that we're always alternating lines and spaces are steps, and the steps follow the steps of the musical alphabet. That can also be another helpful way to think about it. In case you're feeling overwhelmed by how many notes there are, you only have to start with one. And if you can start with one flashcard or 2 flashcards and get to know those 2, you can add a third, and you'll be surprised how quickly it can all start to come together, one at a time as well.
Totally. Thanks. All right, beautiful. So let's go ahead and identify some of these exercises together. So number 1, we have find the starting note in the column on the left. So we're going to go ahead and just do this all together, and I'll call on you, and we can all work through this one at a time. So here we have the treble clef, and here is middle C. So what we're going to do is, it says here in the middle column, start on the correct note with the correct finger number. So right here, we're basically culminating all of the information that we've learned. And then it says do the same for the column on the right, and be sure to keep a steady beat. So since we just talked about note reading, we're going to go ahead and identify the notes for number 1. Would anybody like to volunteer to read some of the notes in the middle column right here for number 1? Asta, would you like to try?
I think Jason's raising his hand.
Jason? Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, Jason, do you want to try?
I'll guess C, D, D, C.
Beautiful. Good work. Nice. All right. Okay, how about this third column over here?
C, E, D, C.
Awesome. Great job, Jason. Awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through a couple more note reading exercises. So these are all in the treble clef, right? So who can tell me what note this is in column number 2? Go ahead and just unmute yourself, jump right in.
G.
G.
G. Awesome. Good. We can all just kind of unmute and say, All right. So then here we have the second column. And what notes do we have in here? We have G, A,
B,
B.
G.
G. Exactly.
Nice.
Good. And for this example, what are the notes here? We start on G. Now we go down, we step down to what note?
F,
F, and then we step up to,
G,
and then we step down to.
F.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Good work, you guys. Okay, so let's just do a little bit more note reading practice here. Can I come back to you, Melissa? Not Ashley's mom, but Melissa. I'm sorry, I don't see your last name, but I just wanted to see and check your understanding for number 3. Could you identify what note this is?
C.
Awesome. Good work. C. All right. And then Melissa, Ashley's mom, can you read these notes?
Wait, the other, you want me now?
Yeah.
You switched Melissa's. I was like,
I
oh,
know.
thank God it's not me. Oh,
I
all
know.
right. Okay, hang on. So we got C, and then we would have B and A, and then G.
Beautiful. Good work.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Okay,
Good job.
yay. Okay. And then back, you want to do the other one?
Sure.
And then C, and then E, and then D, and then E.
You got it. Nice work.
Woo! All right.
So let's go ahead and try playing a few of these now. So let's go back to number 1, and this will be your homework because I know we're getting low on time and we might not get through all the slides, and that's perfectly fine. But let's go ahead and try playing number 1, column number 2 and 3. All right, so in column number 2, we start with finger number 2. All right, so we're going to take our second finger and we are going to, first of all, identify that this is all quarter notes, right? So quarter, 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 and then we're going to go ahead and play, find middle C, and then we're going to go ahead and play our second finger on middle C, and then go up to D, repeat D, and then go back down to C. So even though the finger number isn't written in this example, we know that we're going to probably use the most convenient finger number, right? So we're going to go ahead and use 3 because it helps us get to D the easiest. Yeah. So most of the time, there's only one finger number written in, and then you have to infer the rest, right? So we have C, D, D, C. So try that a few times. C, D, D, C. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and go to column number 3. So this one wants us to start with finger number 1. So now we're going to switch it up and put finger number 1 on middle C. And we're going to play C, E, D, C. And again, the finger numbers aren't written in, but we're going up to E. So the easiest finger number to use would be finger number 3 because it's right there. It would be kind of awkward to try to use 5 or use 1 again. So you're always trying to use finger numbers that make your life the easiest. So let's go ahead and play it. And while you're playing it, try to say the note names out loud. C, E, D, C. Yep, exactly. So good. All right. And let's just try playing a few of those. Are there any questions with any? Take a quick look to scan through them. You have all week to practice them.
Great.
Okay, great. And then I don't think we have any questions, do we, Ashley?
I didn't. I was scrolling through. I didn't see anybody raising their hand or unmuting.
Okay. Awesome.
And I just wanted to show you, Steph, can you put it on the last slide? Or the second to last slide. So you have access to this slideshow in the Google Drive. So you're welcome to go through the rest of the slides on your own and read through. We'll quickly cover those next week in class as well. But if you want to be ultra prepared or know what we're gonna do, you can go through and read them. But I just wanted to point out that on this second to last slide, it's slide number 31. There is I think one up from that one. Yeah, there we go. There is this whole entire page that has links in the slide. So if you can open this on your computer or phone, I've given a lot of suggestions specifically for note naming. So numbers 1 through 5, you can print the flashcards that are in the week 1 folder on the Google Drive. I love flashcards. I have never found an age group that can't learn how to read music with flashcards. It works. It works for everyone. So print those out, start with 2 or 3 flashcards, add in one every couple of minutes. Even if you're doing it 2 to 5 minutes a day, you will learn how to read notes if you work on the flashcards. There are lots of apps, Flash Note Derby, Note Rush, or Music Flash Class. Those are all fun apps that help you learn. They just test you on note names. You can review how to read notes at teoria.com. There's a really great tutorial there. There's a great video that's linked right here for number 4 to Piano TV, which is a really fun YouTube channel, and she explains how to read music just like we did, and she might use some terms that maybe resonate with you, so watch that video if you need some more. And then there's also this website on number 5 that is kind of like an app or like flashcards, but it's all on a website. So if that's an easier format for you, check that out. But all of those are there for your resources. We also have some additional, like, just for fun things that you can explore on the next slide, some different videos and links and things like that. But do try to come to the next class feeling more confident with what we did today. So knowing the geography of the keyboard, knowing the note values and the rest values, and then being familiar. I would say if you can come to class knowing at least 10 or 15 notes on the staff, maybe out for middle C, you'll be good to go, okay? So practice those. Stephanie and I are available by email if anybody has any questions. We're also, if you have any questions right now, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, we are so happy to have you all here. Hopefully nobody got lost in the dust. If you did, email us, and we'll see you next week. Any questions? Yeah, Jason. Or are you waving bye? Okay, great.
Nice to meet you all.
Just waving by.
Nice to meet you guys. Great.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great week.
Have a great
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.